Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos, brought to you by his book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just released a brand new edition. You can get that on Amazon.com or on his website, gtoul.com. It's also got a new book coming out soon. We'll talk about that. Please welcome from Athens, Greece, Dr. George Touliatos. Welcome, Doc.
Welcome, Ron. It's official. The quarantine is over today, but it was supposed to be, yes, but they postponed it for one more week because of the 1st of May, that is on next Friday, in order to avoid, this possible expanding of people, and yes, not to mess up everything that we built so far.
Wow! So Friday of this week, you guys are getting out of quarantine.
No, next Monday actually, but gradually, step by step.
Because there's no end in sight for most. Some U.S. states are opening, but for a lot of U.S. states,
Texas is open, I think so, huh?
Texas, Georgia, I want to say like Tennessee.
These are the located south, right?
Yeah, southern states.
South is the suppose is the heat and the dry heat, that kills the virus. I mean, it controls the spreading.
I don't think that they're seeing less cases. I don't think they're doing any better than other states are, really, on average. But for whatever reason, the pressure is on the governor, and to open up businesses and open up again. I don't think these states that are opening up again are necessarily doing it because they're seeing very low cases. Sorry. Or that it's justified. I just think people are getting tired of not working. And
but it's not as bad as New York State.
No, New York's terrible.
New York State is worse than Spain, huh?
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, and the U.S. has more. I think we've had more cases and deaths now than the rest of the world, all added together.
One third of the total cases worldwide, and number one, of course, also in victims.
Yeah, wow. But I also just heard they was it Beijing? They put them back in quarantine.
I don't know.
Something like that. No, it's a different story.
Singapore, they release people, and afterwards, they recall the quarantine. This is crazy,
Yeah. Interesting, man.
I think quarantine has terrible consequences to the mentality, and I mean, severe depression, anger, also neurotic symptoms, and also violence in the house, and also, of course, catastrophic results in economy.
Yeah.
That I doubt if 2020 will be a positive feedback. I mean, you have to organize about next year, and Greece, is relying purely on the tourists, because last year we accepted 30 million people, as tourists.
Wow.
Imagine that each tourist leaves $1,000. You can assume how much we rely on tourism, and it's ruined up. It's messed up this year.
I mean, look at a city like Las Vegas, location of the Olympia.
Yeah, I have one of these. Exactly.
Yeah. I had to wear it because I want the Olympia to happen this year. It is going to happen. It's probably going to be a little later. I think we're going to find out very soon. I think they're going to have to decide and announce it within the next couple of weeks if they really want to get everybody prepared for it. So I think we're going to know within 2-3 weeks at the most what's going to happen with the Olympia.
Because the doctors here speculate that there will be a second wave in next fall, and you never know.
Yeah. Well, as soon as they open up everything again and let people together, there has to be a second wave. It's just common sense. It's going to spread. We don't have a vaccine.
Yeah. The Olympia Hall, which is the arena, cannot be packed again, sold out. This is forbidden now from the rules.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when they're going to allow people to be that close, because that's like a 5,000, 6,000. I might be, maybe it's more like 10,000. I might be way off here, but it's
about 8,000. 8,000. Yes.
8,000. That's a lot of people crammed together. Like the expo at the Arnold. I mean, we better have a vaccine. I don't know if they could have an expo at the Olympia. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions right now, but we'll find out. Yeah. In the meantime, this is episode 60, Doc.
Yes.
660. I like round numbers like that. And let's get it. Let's get into it. We got some great questions, as usual. A couple of them are long, and I'm going to scold these people for making their questions too long, but let's start up. What is the best and fastest way to lose omental, visceral fat And are there drugs that help with that? When I took oxandrolone a few years ago, I felt like my pregnancy went down a bit. This is not a pregnant woman, guys. This is a guy talking about a big pregnant gut. But now it got even worse. It's almost like I have twins. Could using Anavar again make a difference? Are there any other drugs that might help with that? Or any specific training like vacuums or long steady cardio? What's the role of the diet in this? I eat a lot to build and keep muscle, but I already do take care to eat only foods I can digest properly. So digestion and bloating are not the issue here. It's the fat itself. So this is a good question, doctor. That visceral fat it's inside, how do we get rid of that?
So actually, this is what bubble gut is all about, and this is based on the establishment of this visceral fat that encloses vessels and nerves and surrounds all these the viscera that are enclosed in the abdominal cavity. And actually, it's a result of excessive insulin release, either injectable or by eating a lot of mainly garbage, trans fat, refined sugars, and saturated fat also. And also gaining weight, without exercise and proper diet. Now, testosterone is the main androgen that is capable of oxidizing adipose tissue and as a result, visceral or omental fat. That's why people that are hypogonadtic have this kind of beer belly, which is the omental fat. Okay. And by the use of testosterone, you reduce that and you improve also dyslipidemia, because dyslipidemia based on omental fat elevates LDL, lowers HDL, and establishes atherosclerosis. Now, the DHT derivatives like Anavar, Visceral, Primobolan, they are of low androgenicity. Therefore, high androgenicity like Trenbolone, testosterone, halotestin is capable of burning fat. And in the previous episode, I said that there could be a way in order to reverse obesity, like Michael Scully said 5 years ago, I think, by the use of androgenic anabolic steroids plus exercise plus diet, of course. So in order to burn this fat, you have to do hypocaloric diet, okay? Yeah. So a caloric deficit, exercise, of course, resistance training, cardio, low carbs in order to minimize lower insulin and start elevating glucagon and growth hormone that burns fat. And several small meals every 2 or 3 hours in order to boost basal metabolic rate. And I think testosterone is capable of doing this. As a matter of fact, now I have stopped using testosterone for 6 weeks because I don't train, I don't get laid also, but mainly because my hematocrit is super high. So this period of the quarantine is a golden opportunity for me to lower my hematocrit. So I stopped the Trt, and frankly, even though I have lost 10 pounds, my abdominal section is more loose and smooth than it was before. Wow. So by stopping testosterone, of course, you can elevate your omental fat, but also it's based on other factors like training, like diet. Okay, I keep that as much as I can with some cardio, and good diet. The point is, you can see the other way. Why bodybuilders get fat and become smooth when they are after PCT? Because they don't have androgens. They don't burn fat this way. And whenever you get into cycle, you become harder because you become leaner. And that's the result of fat oxidation by androgens. Okay, growth hormone can also lead to this, and localized fat burning. Yes, growth hormone, and also you can minimize that by stimulants that will burn off calories, and lead to fat reduction.
Okay, cool. Next one. This is a gentleman that asked a question last week, and he wanted to clarify it because it seemed like it was a little confusing. He said, my question from last week should have been, since HGH Frag 176-191 is infinitely less expensive than Pharma HGH, how much and what protocol can be used to achieve the equivalent fat loss of 4 IUs HGH?
I never used this kind of fragments, and the only fragments I've used are the GHRH boosters, Sermorelin, GHRP6, GHRP2. I was offered that, not MK6, M7, but what I've heard of well-known gurus, in the States, is that fragments can be a waste of money compared to growth hormone, which is more expensive and more efficient. So I don't think nothing compares to 4 IUs, maybe you have to use a tons of these fragments, So it comes in micrograms, and the growth hormone comes in IUs, But besides, I'm not sure if there's any limit to use those fragments. I mean, how much of it can you use? Other side effects if you use them? If you OD, if you overdose them,
Yeah.
So if you can save some money, then buy in first place the real deal, which is the growth hormone.
Yeah. I mean, every time someone's tried to tell me that this or that SARM or whatever is going to give you the same exact results as growth hormone, they're usually selling it. They're trying to get you to buy it. Everyone that has no agenda that I've talked to that's very knowledgeable says, just get Pharma GH. Don't bother with the generic crap. Just get Pharma. It's a lot more money, but it's very effective. You know exactly how it's going to work and what amounts to take. And you never have that question in your mind. Is this real? How much do I have to use? It's stupid to have to use 12 IUs of some crappy generic growth hormone to give yourself 4 IUs of real growth hormone, but that's what a lot of guys do.
Sometimes they compare Chinese growth hormone, G-tropin, I think, like the genotropin, which is the real deal.
Right.
And it's like comparing also pro-hormones with anabolic steroids.
Exactly, yeah.
But they are more cheaper because they are way less effective. And Connor said that those fragments are used by the age management clinics because they are safer with less side effects, but also less productive,
Yeah, we have a saying in the US, it's true most of the time. You get what you pay for.
Consider that growth hormone needs at least a few weeks or a few months at least in order to be productive. Now, how much are you going to wait and waste money on these secretables,
I mean, a couple $1,000 and then you realize, oh my God, it's not working. Anyway, next question is about Primobolan. We love Primo. What do you think about Primo? Is it really worth the extra cost over Equipoise, Masteron, etc.?
No, Primo, the good thing about Primo is first, it's pharmaceutical. I mean, you can still find it in Turkey, for instance, or in Spain. And also in Greece 20 years ago. But Primo is among the few non-alkylated anabolic steroids in oral form, in pill, but also it's not toxic to the liver or to the lipids. And the greatest benefit out of methanolone is it doesn't produce estrogen, so you don't need an aromatase inhibitor just for the sake of testosterone that you're using. And this, of course, you don't mind about the bloating and the gynecomastia you're going to develop, even at 600 milligrams, for instance. Now, the other thing is that Primo is a weak anabolic with anabolic activity lower than testosterone, lower than Equipoise, lower than DECA. So you have to abuse it high dose up to 600 milligrams. And of course, it's very expensive. It comes up to $10 for 100 milligrams. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, in Greece, it used to cost $3 20 years ago, but now in the black market, it's $10. And in case it's legitimate, because it might be counterfeit, which is the exact copy of the pharma grade,
Right. Yeah.
So, what was the question?
He just wanted to know what you think about Primo. Is it really worth the extra money? Because it is more expensive.
Yeah, it is worth it if you want to do a safe cycle, Yeah. And actually, I think it was the favorite injectable of Arnold back then. And he was combining Primo with Dianabol and testosterone, I think. Perhaps DECA also.
Yeah.
Basic stuff,
I've heard a lot in the last, 5, 6, 7 years that whole Middle East bodybuilding, Kuwait, Dubai, that whole area, that they're very big into Primo, that they don't use a lot of heavy androgens like Testin, D-bol, and Anadrol. They like the things like they like the Winstrals, Primobolans.
Yes, and the derivatives that they are dry drugs, they are estradiol free, they do not aromatize, so you don't mind about any kind of bloating or bitch stitch,
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Okay, I have a question about combating trend side effects, and then there's another thing about how insights on ideal Hollywood body drugs. But first of all, trend side effects. I mean, if you're taking tren, you're going to get the side effects. How can you not get the things like the night sweats, the cough when you inject,
The
the
roid rage.
tren rage, yeah, the tren dick eventually. I mean, are
And I
there
think
other?
because it's very high androgen, you're gonna have perhaps some issues with urination or some hair thinning, you know, or also a lot of sebum production and oily skin, acne. Besides, tren is not, you know, on the other hand, tren is not 70 alkylated like Winstrol, but that doesn't mean, of course, that if you abuse it, you're not gonna have elevated lipids or liver enzymes. This is what Bill Welling 2 years ago wrote on MD, that is tren toxic? Yes, it is under abuse.
Yeah, I mean, when he talks about all these side effects, you basically would need to take a different drug for every side effect. You know, the hair loss, you would need one drug. The acne, you need another drug. It's just, it's.
That's the name of the game, you know.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you take tren, it's like, you know, you get into bed with the devil. You're gonna have to screw. Sorry.
I'm outraged. I can become outrageous and really, you know, how to say, angry when people in the first cycle they use tren and they train just for 2 years. This is crazy. You barely know how to drive and you want to drive a Ferrari, you're gonna get killed, or you're not gonna get the most out of it, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And his second question was your insights on the ideal Hollywood body drugs. So movie stars, what do you think? What do you think most movie stars use for drugs?
Film, you know, I think when they have to bulk, they kind of use classic cycles, maybe Deca, Anabolic, Testosterone. I think in Batman Begins, I think it was this guy who's playing American Gigolo. How you say?
American Psycho, Christian Bale.
American Psycho, yeah, Christian Bale. Yes, he was about 220 on that film, you know, and he was an average, not skinny, but 120 pounds guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Ben Affleck, he's not a big muscular guy normally.
Or no, Brad Pitt, he was super dry and lean for Troy in 2004. I bet he was using DHT derivatives for sure, but definitely he was using something because he was hard. You can achieve hardness just with diet. Need this solid look. You know, of course, he was training, he was lifting, he was dieting, but I guess he was. Now, some women like Hilary Swank in Million Baby, perhaps he may use some Anavar. You never know.
It's funny because
they get paid for that. They get $20 million. They have the doctors, they have the trainers, they have everything. You know, they had perhaps the best GHs worldwide. Yeah. They have the chefs along with them.
Well, I remember.
Yes.
You remember the movie 300 about the Spartans?
Yes.
Those guys were all. I don't know how much of it was computer and CGI, but they all had ripped abs. They all had separation in the muscles.
They were like fitness competitors, actually.
Yeah.
You know?
Men's physique guys, basically. Next question. What is your opinion on subcutaneously injecting your TRT?
Yes, I have tried that. And basically, John Criswell was the pioneer who invented that. And gives you a benefit just for you avoid, if you do deep intramuscular injections, you may suffer from some scar tissue and bleeding with the large needles. So, of course, subcutaneous involves insulin syringes that they do not develop scar tissue into the fat. However, they may develop some lumps of oil into the fat. There's no significant changes in the total or free testosterone or even estradiol, because some speculate that if you are an obese guy with 20% body fat, then you may develop higher estradiol. But as Dr. Saya from Florida said, that the ester leaves the compound as soon as they get into the bloodstream. So there's no effect, and they do not interact when you inject testosterone into the fat, but it has to get into the bloodstream and then they separate. However, in the bottom line, at the end of the day, the meaning is that there's no significant elevation of estrogens or better testosterone. As a matter of fact, the absorption is slower in the fat because there is pure vascular supply. Yeah. So I inject with insulin syringe into my delts, which is, they can be fat-free, you know, very thin skin. So they get rapidly into the muscle, and the scar tissue is negligible with an insulin needle, you know.
Yeah. You talk about lumps. I mean, unless you're using a very tiny amount, I mean, an insulin syringe only is 1 ml anyway.
Yes.
Right? So, I mean, that would leave a good sized lump. A milliliter of oil would look like a big bee sting or something if you just put it right under the skin.
I even develop lumps with growth hormone, in HGH sometimes.
Oh, really? That's just water. That's just water based.
Even that. Glutathione also leaves huge lumps, when I inject into my body, and it's really painful. And actually, water-based injections, they hurt a lot, like B12 also.
All right. Okay, the next one is a little bit longer, so I better get started. I'm on a cruise on testosterone, 250 milligrams for 2 months now. I pin 2 times a week, 125 milligrams. So 125 milligrams twice a week of testosterone. On Saturday morning, I did my last injection, 125 milligrams, before I did blood work Tuesday morning. My results came back today, and I'm skeptical. My test levels showed 1180 nanograms per deciliter. I expected my levels to be higher on 250 milligrams test a week. I switched the testee from Balkan Pharmaceuticals to tests from Bayer Sharing 3 to 4 weeks ago. I know the Balkan was legit, but now I'm wondering if the Bayer product may be underdosed or counterfeit. Shouldn't my test levels be around 2,000 at this dose? I also noticed after I changed brands, I got some small acne on my shoulders. I guess this is from a change in my hormone levels. My E2 levels were 0.244 or 41 picograms. So yeah, I mean, can you automatically say this much test should give you this level of test in your blood?
It's not on the dose, but also you have to mind that it depends how you inject it. If you inject 250 or if you inject twice 125, it's a big difference. And this guy is injecting twice 125, and in case you take the blood sample just before the next injections, then the levels will be the lowest. Okay, so it's a much difference if you take if you drop the blood right after or a few hours after the injections. Yeah. And of course, it would be a dramatic difference if you do one larger injection, and a couple of hours later you drop the blood. So if you shoot this 250, and after a couple of hours you take the blood, then maybe it would be higher the total testosterone levels. But also, yes, some are underdosed. Okay. Yeah. And you can expect this kind of acne as a result of the change in the DHT levels.
The question I have is, so these are two pharmaceutical companies.
Yes, supposedly is actually, and it has a wide spectrum of steroids, but it's coming from Romania, and it's not like Bayern, which is hardcore, real deal Germany product since the World War II,
Right. So he switched the test from Balkan to Bayer. He's worried that the sharing is the stuff that's not legit, but he, like you said, he did his shot on Saturday morning, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it was about 72 hours or more that he did his blood work. So 125 milligrams, the levels could have gone down significantly.
They start falling down,
It's almost ready for another shot by then, guy. Okay, next question. Can Equipoise lower ACTH and cortisol levels? My cortisol was 1 and ACTH was 6. I haven't used any other meds or cortisone injections. Levels were normal prior to beginning my test SIP, 400 milligrams, EQ 400 milligrams per week cycle. Labs were done at week 8. I'm normally on 200 milligrams a week of test SIP, TRT. So can Equipoise lower ACTH and cortisol?
This is a critical case when your cortisol is low and your also ACTH which is low. Now, usually when your cortisol is low, and this is super low, it means that you have an adrenal burnout, an adrenal fatigue, and adrenal insufficiency. And this is the result of extreme stimulation of central nervous system by stress, insomnia also, which is a form of stress, by caffeine, by stimulants, by meth, by amphetamines, whatever. And also physical stress, which is also overtraining. And adrenals, they release adrenaline, which is epinephrine, but in the long term, as serum cortisol goes up, then eventually there's going to be a flip side to the coin and a rebound, and it will fall down because they are tired, the adrenal glands, Yeah. And usually it's the different. I mean, when cortisol goes down, then ACTH goes up. It's like testosterone LH or TSH, thyroid hormones. It's the axis. Yeah. Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. The point is, when you have low cortisol, high HCTAs, you have the so-called Addison's disease, which is what JFK had in first place. And he had to inject hydrocortisone to support his adrenals, and also testosterone because hydrocortisone was eating his muscle and his bones. Now, when HCTAs also goes down, you have this kind of secondary adrenal insufficiency, which is hypoadrenalism. And then this has to be treated with hydrocortisone also injections, but also take a long break, sleep well, stop using any stimulants, do not train, and use some supplements that can help with cortisol synthesis and generally to relieve your central nervous system, like B complex, also ashwagandha, rhodiola, DMAE, DHEA also, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing I forgot is that abusing anabolic androgenic steroids, they have the opposite effect. So because they are anabolic, they will suppress the catabolic cortisol. So within a cycle, some people cannot have this anti-inflammatory protection like they have with optimized cortisol, people who do not use steroids. You know, that's why the immune system of people who abuse steroids is fragile. So if this guy uses a prolonged cycle, you know, he has this reckless lifestyle, then he may feel fatigued, satiety for salty foods. He may feel horrible in the morning and his mood improves late in the afternoon. And he also feels hypotensive and hypoglycemic because cortisol is responsible for hyperglycemia and hypertension. Okay? It's a complex thing, you know?
I can see that. Okay.
By the way, Andreas Munger he was abusing cytadren, which is aminoglutathione or imitan, in order to minimize his cortisol and avoid any kind of muscle breakdown, but collapse his adrenals, you know?
Yeah, poor guy. He was only, I think, 31 years old, 32.
Yes.
Yeah. Very quiet, nice guy. I met him a few times. It's too bad. Next question. Could you please explain the mechanism of action and the proper way of administration of the anti-ischemic drug mildronate, known as meldonium, for athletic purposes? Is the effect of mildronate instant, or should we start using it several days or weeks prior to the competition, boxing or tennis? Do you believe that the blockage of carnitine biosynthesis by mildronate could suppress fat loss? Meldonium.
Yes, meldonium was coming to play and was becoming notorious. And Maria Sharapova from Russia was busted with meldonium, which actually a few years ago was not in the list of WADA, as Rick Collins also knows. And later, it was included in the list. Now, meldonium is a drug used in the Eastern Europe, you know, Russia, for instance, and it's used in order to improve oxidation under anaerobic conditions. So, for instance, the sports that include explosiveness, you know?
Yeah.
But now tennis involves also aerobic and anaerobic. But what it does is by lowering actually carnitine synthesis that favors fat burn and prolonged, you know, energy release, like taking a walk or low pace, 60 to 70%, and it switched into anaerobic. So oxidation of glucose, which becomes the anaerobic part. And so perhaps it's the opposite than the GW that shifts from anaerobic to aerobic, you know, the carnitine we used to speak about in the previous episode.
Yeah.
But meldonium, you know, it supports the heart oxygenation in the blood, in the oxygen supply under anaerobic cases, you know, because heart also, we have to know that it burns fat under optimal heart rate.
Yeah.
But it utilizes lactic acid, lactate, under fast heart rate, you know. So meldonium is used by those kind of athletes that they want to supply oxygen to the heart under strenuous and rigorous exercises that includes anaerobic parts, you know. This is what I dig it up in the Anabolics last edition of Bill Welling.
So do people use this just for competitions, or do they use this for weeks leading up to a competition?
I think they have to start a while before the show, the particular event, and they use it until the day of the event,
Fair enough. Next question. Here's a good one. What is a safe dose of Masteron to run year round? Also, what is a safe dose of Masteron on a blast to run for, say, 20 weeks? Wow.
Now, Masteron is not a toxic drug to the lipids or to the lipids. It's just synthetic DHT, which is an androgen like provider. Masteron has the benefit that does not aromatize, and it can substitute testosterone the final 2 weeks before the show. And it has also slight anti-estrogenic effects. So it may be also combined with testosterone for exogenous, or maybe to avoid some aromatase inhibitor abuse. And Masteron, why to use Masteron? I mean, all year long. I don't find. Why don't you use testosterone propionate that comes out of clears the system, or you use Proviron? Now, I don't think there will be any serious side effects to the liver, but maybe you may notice some reduction in the HDL because all androgens under abuse, they may lower the HDL. And this is what Conor told you also in the previous episode, I guess. Yeah. So abusing testosterone may lower a little bit of HDL, but of course, if you do 60 minutes of cardio every day, you may not have this.
So could you run, instead of testosterone for TRT, could you run 200 milligrams of Masteron for the rest of your life?
Nothing replaces testosterone. Testosterone includes, it has the perfect ratio, androgenic to anabolic 1:1. It's a natural hormone that is released from the system. You need also these estrogens for optimizing several tissues. Men need a little bit of estrogens. You cannot live without estrogens and injecting, for instance, progesterone.
So it would be a bad idea to be on Masteron all the time.
With itself, yes, but you can stack Masteron with other things. And in a cycle, actually, you may replace testosterone in first place and use Masteron Primo, for instance, in the whole cycle. If you don't take any aromatase inhibitors, and if you don't want to care about your nipples or your water retention, this is a pure dry cycle.
So what's a safe dose if somebody wants to use Masteron for 20 weeks? How much can they use every week?
So Masteron, if it's propionate, then at least it comes to 300 milligrams because it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, okay?
Okay.
At least. So 300 milligrams is the least in order to have it steady into the system,
And that'd be safer. I don't think we're going to sit here and say it's safe, but it's safer.
When I was competing, I was using at least 400 milligrams Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then every other day,
Yeah. But you weren't doing that for 20 weeks, were you?
No, no.
I don't know. That's what you say. Okay. Here's a good one. It's a quarantine drug question. If you increase your TRT dose, let's say you go from 150 milligrams to 250 milligrams testosterone per week, will that help to maintain your muscle mass during a period like this with all the gyms closed? Of course, if you continue to eat properly, do cardio, and lift at home with lighter weights, resistance bands, and max intensity. So should people be upping their TRT dose right now?
I'm not telling that they should be, but yes. The answer is yes, because you have to know that the first, anabolic steroids were applied to patients that were lying on the bed without training, even without dieting properly, because in the hospital you don't get 2 or 3 grams of protein per meal, per day. So they had anti-catabolic effect even in those patients that were lying down, old people, without almost eating everything. So I guess if you also take a nitrogen positive balance, if you have, plus you elevate your testosterone, yes, you may notice some anti-catabolic effect, not building muscle, but avoiding eating up muscle, catabolizing.
Yeah. And that's not 250 milligrams a week. That's a reasonable dose. I thought somebody was going to ask, should I do a gram a week while I'm on quarantine? No, probably not. Next question is kind of long, Doctor. You notice the heart rhythm questions are the long questions because you need like a whole medical history. So here we go. Is there a way of balancing electrolytes while on cycle to prevent heart rhythm abnormalities? I'm not talking crazy high doses. Let's say someone is using a stack up to 500 milligrams a week total of either Anavar, Tren, or Nandrolone. I selected those because A, those are popular stacks. B, I'm considering using one of these stacks. And C, all three compounds are potentially arrhythmogenic due to high level of anabolism and calcium retention. I experienced some arrhythmia sometime into my 500 milligram a week test cycle. While I was lying in bed, my heart would slow down and beat 2 to 3 times very slowly, and then it would be back to normal. I have to say that I've been checked by a cardiologist. I have no pre-existing heart conditions. So these arrhythmias had to be induced by high dose of testosterone. From what I'm reading, arrhythmia is common on cycles due to imbalance in electrolytes caused by anabolics. If you have any suggestions on how to prevent that from happening or minimize it, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, this is true that sometimes people notice arrhythmias, which is improper heart rate, without taking any stimulus, just by the cycle. And it is found that imbalance in electrolytes, so calcium and magnesium also, that take place in muscle contraction. And as a matter of fact, optimization of testosterone improves heart beating by optimization of calcium and magnesium, that are key elements for the muscle contraction. Of course, heart is a muscle. So in cardiology, it is well known that magnesium, liquid magnesium taken before bed at night, it can smooth, it can relax your muscles, but also it can act as a slight antiarrhythmic drug. However, it was withdrawn because it's very cheap, and the big pharma release expensive drugs for that.
Yeah.
So I guess yes. By taking magnesium, also my brother-in-law, which is a cardiologist, suggested this to me, to my mother, to my grandmother, also. And for instance, taking 250 milligrams of magnesium, they can enhance the sleeping process by relaxation, and also lower perhaps the heart rate and prevent the arrhythmias. While abusing steroids will lead to superphysiological levels of electrolytes that play a role in the signal, in the stimulus of muscle contraction, the firing of the muscle fibers,
That's interesting because I just started taking maybe 2 months ago these magnesium gummies before bed, and I sleep better. And I didn't know they were having any.
But never take them before exercise because you're gonna feel so relaxed,
Oh, this is I'm doing this at like 9:30 at night. I'm good. No exercise. But yeah, magnesium. What a coinkydink.
Before the show, you have to take, along with diuretics, extra calcium and magnesium also. Yeah. Chew them or swallow them, just in case you have severe cramps and muscle spasms on stage.
Right on. Okay, almost done here. We got 2 more questions. Here we go. We know that steroid users usually present erythrocytosis. Erythrocytosis. Except for therapeutic phlebotomy, is there any other way to treat it? 2 drugs which are used commonly to treat hypertension, enalapril and losartan, show remarkable results in patients with post-kidney transplant erythrocytosis. Do you think they could be beneficial also for steroid users?
Yes, absolutely. You may use enalapril and also losartan, which is, it has to do with its antihypertensive drugs. And they have shown to be promising lowering the hemoglobin. But as preventing rules, you have to avoid red meat because it contains iron. Iron is the substrate for hemoglobin synthesis, and also vitamin C for the absorption. Also, you have to skip red meat because it contains also cobalamin, which is responsible, the B12 vitamin for erythropoiesis, which is the formation of red blood cells in the bone marrow, and also it contains folic acid, which is also responsible. So this stack is in red meat. Besides, when somebody is anemic, you feed him with red meat constantly in order to elevate his hematocrit. Another thing is to take preventionally salicylic acid, which is aspirin, and it blocks platelets aggregation by lowering prostaglandins, and platelets are known the thrombocytes in order to avoid clotting. And also another medication that I'm also using is pentoxifylline, which is responsible for better circulation of erythrocytes. When they pass through the tiny capillaries, they can form and they can flex like the mouse. So they don't struggle when there are plenty of red blood cells passing through the tiny capillary network, and you avoid some kind of ischemic effect.
Okay,
so
cool.
Aspirin, pentoxifylline, and also, losartan and
Enalapril.
enalapril, yes.
Yep.
And also flevodomyce or, either flevodomyce or blood donation. And of course, eating white meat and fish instead of red meat.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, final question. Can I use natural progesterone cream with TRT? I read that it lowers estrogen and DHT. It can help with my hair loss, but I also read it causes blood clotting. Your opinion, please.
It is true about those facts. And also, you can use, women's HRT is composed of progesterone, estrogens, DHEA, okay? But men shouldn't use progesterone, which is mainly a female hormone. But actually, progesterone is helpful for the semen, to be more mature in men, and also under anxiety, so you can sleep better with progesterone. But it's safer to take pregnenolone, which is the step before. So it's cholesterol that forms pregnenolone, and then you have progesterone. So why don't you take the compound which is before, and then you can also produce progesterone, which is safer. It's like taking women DHA instead of testosterone in order to avoid the hirstins, and the androgenic virilization. Okay. So I guess I'm using also pregnenolone at 100 milligrams every day for better steroidogenesis. I've seen also progesterone cream in women that applied, along with estrogens. But I guess pregnenolone is better. Is a better option and a choice for men to use it.
So should most steroid users be using pregnenolone?
Not steroid users, replacement therapy, testosterone.
Replacement therapy. My
Yes.
bad. Okay, gotcha. Well, doctor, that is all the questions for this week. Week 7 of quarantine for the U.S. I think we're in now. I don't know. It's been a long time. Sorry, I can't even keep track anymore. It's hard to even remember what day of the week it is now.
By the way, I just received two magazines in muscular development. Because now, I framed them on my wall of fame.
Oh no, that's cool.
Yeah, and because there are 3 pages, I have to have 2 magazines in order to have the back one.
Right. Just put the front page. Just put the first page of the column. You put all the.
I want to have
the whole thing.
No, yeah.
You're going to run out of wall space. That's a lot of pages. Because I want to let everyone know we do this show every Tuesday. We record Monday and post every Tuesday. Every Tuesday on Muscular Development is Dr. T Tuesday. There's a new article from the doctor posted on musculardevelopment.com. We got these new videos, Ask Dr. Testosterone, and every month in Muscular Development magazine, we have 3 pages column every month. So it's a lot of information from this particular man, Dr. George Touliatos. Very cool.
Until January 2021, I have full pack of articles about drugs. Now I have to inform you that on January it's my last. It will be my last drug article. I don't have any other. Material. That's okay. Perhaps I'm gonna spread out the nutrition and the supplementation. I don't have any other choice. It's about 25 articles on drugs since 2019. So I ran out of material.
How many?
Invent something.
You'll figure it out, doctor. You're a very smart guy. I know you'll figure it out. So also you have a new book you finished. It's going to be coming out within the next few weeks.
Within May will be available to purchase on Amazon.
Awesome. So we'll have more information about that, guys, as it comes closer.
Yes.
And your Instagram is it Dr. George Touliatos?
Yes. Okay, so tomorrow we're releasing the roid rates for the MD Online.
Yeah.
Because Thomas also had the roid rates on the show before with you.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yes. And my next magazine article will be testosterone, 4 pages. 2,300 words.
My goodness gracious. You're going to have the whole magazine pretty soon. Cool. Well, doctor, thank you for taking the time. I'm glad to hear that you guys are going to reopen Greece within the next week or so. That's exciting.
You have a haircut next Monday. No?
Yeah, you need a haircut, and then you can finally shave off your quarantine beard. Well, Doc, thanks for taking the time. I want to thank everyone for watching. If you have questions, you can leave them in the comments under this video. Like I said, we record every Monday, so every question I get during the week, I give them to the doctor on the shows that we record Monday. So please leave your questions in the comments under the YouTube videos. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you know when we have new videos posting. That's it. We appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for watching. Ask Dr. Testosterone with Dr. George Touliatos. We'll see you next time.